Have you ever had one of those days? You wake up with this perfect plan, this vision of yourself as this super focused, productive monk, only to find yourself at 11 p.m., in bed, scrolling on your phone again, promising that tomorrow is the day. Well, if you've ever felt like there's something literally blocking you from being disciplined, I'm here to tell you, you're absolutely right. So let's get into the real reason discipline feels so impossible, and what the science actually says about how to fix it.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the discipline paradox. Then, we'll look at the two big roadblocks your brain puts up. From there, we'll get into the tactics, winning that crucial first 30 seconds, and a real plan to retrain your brain. And finally, we'll talk about the ultimate goal, something called the identity flip.
So let's start with that feeling. That super familiar, super frustrating feeling. You know exactly what you should be doing to make your life better, but when the moment actually arrives to do it, you just don't. It's this maddening cycle, and we're about to break it down.
That's the real question, isn't it? You're not lazy, you're not stupid. So why does starting the important stuff feel like you're trying to push a car uphill by yourself? It feels like you're fighting this invisible force.
We've all been here, this exact scene. And the crazy part is, the intention is so real. The desire is there. In that moment, you genuinely believe that tomorrow you're gonna be a different person. But then tomorrow shows up, and so does the same old cycle. So what is actually going on? And that feeling, that's the most important clue. This isn't just a failure of character. It feels like a real physical barrier, because in a way, it is. There's something happening under the hood, deep inside your brain's wiring.
And that leads us straight to the heart of the problem. See, this isn't really about willpower. It's about neuroscience. It turns out your brain has two massive roadblocks that it sets up, making this whole discipline thing feel next to impossible.
Okay, so check this out. Roadblock number one is what's called the future self gap. A neuroscientist, Hal Hershfield, did these studies where he put people into fMRI brain scanners, and he found something totally wild. When you think about your future self, the person who's going to be fit, or successful, or well-rested, your brain lights up in the exact same pattern as when you think about a complete stranger on the street.
Just let that sink in for a second. What that means is, when you're faced with a choice, like do the hard work now or scroll TikTok, your brain processes it as a sacrifice for someone else. You're being asked to give up your current comfort and pleasure for some stranger down the road. It's no wonder you pick the immediate reward.
But wait, it actually gets worse. So not only are we disconnected from our future selves, we are actively, day in and day out, training our brains to be terrible at doing hard things. The second roadblock is all about our modern habits.
Think about it. Every single time you get a quick notification and check it, or you switch tabs in the middle of a task, or you just scroll for a minute instead of working, you're doing more than just distracting yourself. You're casting a vote. You're teaching your brain over and over that the second things feel even a little bit difficult or boring, the right answer is to run for an easy hit of stimulation. You're lowering your tolerance for any real effort.
So you put these two roadblocks together, and you get a perfect storm. You've got a brain that thinks your future self is a stranger, combined with a nervous system that's been trained to freak out and seek an escape route at the first sign of a challenge. Of course, discipline feels impossible. You're wired for it to be.
Okay, so that's the problem. And yeah, it sounds a little bleak, I know. But once you understand the enemy, you can start to fight back. So let's get into the solution, which all starts in the single most important 30-second window of your day.
You know this is true. The hardest part of going for a run isn't mile 2. It's the moment you're thinking about putting on your shoes. The hardest part of writing an essay isn't the third paragraph, it's staring at that blank page. That tiny window of time right before you start, that's the negotiation window, where your brain tries to talk you out of it. And 9 times out of 10, comfort is going to win that negotiation.
So here's the secret. You have to slam that window shut before the negotiation even begins. The rule is simple. Action before emotion. Don't ask yourself if you feel like it. Don't think about how long it's going to take. Just initiate the very first tiny physical action. Put one shoe on. Open the document. Stand up and walk to the kitchen. The second you move, the mental resistance just crumbles. It really does drop by half.
Now, winning that first 30 seconds is how you get started on any given day. But for real long-term change, we have to go deeper. We need a plan to actually retrain the brain that we've so perfectly wired for distraction. So here is a simple 3-part action plan to do just that.
Okay, here are the 3 pillars. Step 1, we just covered. That's our daily tactic, action before emotion. Step 2 is a powerful practice for rebuilding focus from scratch. It's called the 20-minute silence. And step 3 is a huge mindset shift, moving away from tracking streaks and toward tracking something way more powerful, your returns.
All right, I'm not gonna lie, this one is tough. The goal is to just sit for 20 minutes a day with literally nothing. No phone, no music, no books, no podcasts. Just you and your own brain. The first few times you do this, it is going to feel like actual torture. Your brain will scream at you. But by forcing yourself to sit through the boredom, you are systematically increasing your tolerance for effort. It's like lifting weights for your focus muscle. When you can do this, everything else feels so much easier. And that brings us to step 3, which might be the most important mindset shift of all. We're all obsessed with streaks, right? Don't break the chain. The problem is, streaks are brittle, they're fragile. You miss one day and your brain goes, well, it's over, we failed, and you just quit entirely. A much more resilient way to think is to track your returns. The question isn't, did I mess up? The question is, how quickly did I get back on track? If you fall off for a day instead of a week, that is a massive win. That's progress.
And this really captures the whole idea. The goal is not perfection, it's impossible. The goal is resilience. The most disciplined people on the planet aren't the ones who never fail. They're just the ones who have gotten really, really good at picking themselves back up, and they do it faster than anyone else.
So when you start applying these things, when you win that first 30 seconds, you retrain your focus, you track your returns, something really incredible starts to happen over time. You reach the final stage, the ultimate goal.
This right here is the end game. See, when you start, discipline is a grind. It's a constant push, every single day to do the hard thing. But if you stick with it long enough, you hit this magical tipping point, where the entire dynamic just reverses. The struggle flips.
And this transformation is everything. You go from a world where you have to use willpower and effort to make yourself do the habit, to a world where not doing the habit feels weird. It feels wrong. You know those people who seem antsy or agitated if they miss a gym session? They're not superhuman. They've just experienced the flip.
And what's really happening is that the habit is no longer just something you do. It's become a part of who you are. It's part of your identity. And your brain will fight to protect your identity. You don't get up in the morning and have a big debate about whether you feel like brushing your teeth. You just do it because you're a person who brushes their teeth. That's the level we're aiming for.
So in the end, this whole thing, this whole journey of discipline, it's not really about ticking boxes on a to-do list or building the longest streak. It's about a fundamental shift in who you are. The real question isn't what are you going to do tomorrow, it's who are you choosing to become.